Hi folks, it's Nigel from Ambling Trails. I hope you're well today. So I'm visiting two villages that boast the name of bottoms in their title. Then we're going to discover the story that's related to Sir Loin. Okay, less talking, let's get walking. So we're starting the walk in Riley Green near the Royal Oak. This is looking like it's been perfectly cut to fit in with the skyline. Oh, to be in the great outdoors. Well, we can tell how windy it's been. We have something potentially blocking our path, but I'm sure we'll overcome it. So this house is dated 1878. I suspect this may have been the gatehouse to actually Horton Hall. So at the end of this extensive driveway, you will eventually come to Hoghton Tower. Now the Horton family was actually originally friends of William the Conqueror, and they've lived on the land ever since. Right at the end of the driveway, 650 feet high on a hillock, the tower was recently built in 1565, but it's only about 450 years old. Probably one of the most famous happenings is when King James I came. So they laid out a red carpet that was actually, to get up this driveway, half a mile long. King James stayed for 3 days, and on one of the nights there was actually feasting, and they had a loin of beef, and King James enjoyed the loin of beef so much he actually knighted it, and so we have now Sir Loin. Yes, that was a great piece of beef, good Lancashire beef no doubt. I can understand why he probably knighted it. As you can see, quite an extensive wall to keep us away from Horton Tower. So I guess this mighty tree has managed to vandalise the wall. So if you're into rock climbing, apparently you can do that at Horton Tower Quarry. So this abandoned Wesleyan Methodist church was actually erected in 1794 and was actually one of the first to be constructed. Over there we can just see the small schoolhouse. So behind me you've got the outskirts of Horton. That was where the Wesleyan Chapel was, and we've just come from there. For the first time now on this walk, I can actually see the valley behind me. And that valley is the Hoghton Darwen River. That river is where there are two villages with the title bottoms in them. We'll be visiting them later. But for now we're heading along this track and going to what is called Bolton Hall Farm. So this little bit of building that you can see behind me was actually a decoy building that was built in the Second World War, and it was all lit up and everything, and the idea was that it would act as a decoy to the German bombers heading for Preston. Hopefully they would drop bombs in this facility where out of harm's way rather than on Preston. That looks fairly old and ancient. Shame it's unused and unloved. Thank goodness I've got my gaiters on. It's flipping muddy on this walk. It's even worse higher up. Well, I couldn't get the camera out with all the mud around. Yeah, you need to make sure you're well shod on this particular walk. But it is very enjoyable, I promise. So we're finally at the bottom of the valley, and I can just see, I suspect over there is the river, and in that direction is the village we're heading towards. So we can't see it yet, but we can certainly hear it. And the infinity line of the weir is just there. So you can see the River Darwen behind me. Obviously the weir has been built for a purpose, and that was for a cotton mill that was established in Salisbury Bottoms in 1784. When I look closely at the weir, it's quite a feat of engineering, and it's probably about 20 feet tall. So in its time it would have been quite a substantial build. So we can see the replacement mill there in the distance. I believe once they stopped producing cotton, it was converted into a paper mill. Interestingly, if you lived in these cottages, no excuse for being late for work. So that might give you a sense of where we are. We're now just going to head further along further lane towards Mellor. So as you can see, we're now going to go down Alum Lane. Alum was a kind of salt that was mined in the mainly 17th, 18th century, and I believe the Horton family had rights to the mining of it around this particular area. So we meet up with the River Darwen again. yoga, start by bending over and picking up your dog poo, known as the downward dog position. So Horton Bottoms is actually a Saxon name which translates to township at the bottom of the hill. So this is the Horton Viaduct, built in 1846, having 3 spans to obviously get across the River Darwen. The railway line goes from Preston to Blackburn, and when you're there up on the top, you're actually 116 feet above the valley here. Fish Rock Pass was actually built in 2017, and it now allows the natural migration of fish such as salmon and trout to migrate up the River Darwen to spawn. So we're leaving the River Darwen now. We could carry on along that footpath there, but it does take you to the busy A road that we left, and it means you have to walk on it further. So we're actually going to take this track here, and it will take us virtually back from whence we started. Hope you've enjoyed the journey today, guys. Really appreciated your support. It certainly helped to motivate me through the mud. Of course, that's the benefit you get. You only have to deal with virtual mud. I have to deal with the real thing. So don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Share with like-minded people. And yeah, comments, questions, appreciate it all. And last of all, of course, thumbs up for the ducks. See you, in fact we will see you on the next journey.